Hello and welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on one volume each episode. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so if this is your first time through the series, it's a perfect place to follow along. Or if you just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us, you can come along here. This week, we will be covering Volume 21, Utopia, which covers chapters 187 through 195. My name is Joel, and join me today we have Evan.
Evan here. Welcome aboard.
So we had a little hiatus, so appreciate your patience there. I went to Japan, so that was a cool place for
I'm
One Piece.
so jealous.
But yeah, it was a fun time. But back to real life now.
Hey, I mean, it's One Piece, so it could be worse.
They did have a few One Piece stores over in Japan, so I got to check them out.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. I also have something I have to show you later, but I got a shushu stuffed animal.
What?
So I
so
have it in
cool.
my my bag. I haven't fully unpacked, but maybe I'll bring it on next episode.
Yeah, I can't wait for all the details.
Yeah, but when I saw the shushu stuffed animal, I'm like, I need to get this. This is perfect.
Amazing.
All right, but let's get into the brief summary from last volume. It's been a little bit, so let's get a little refresher here. Luffy had a showdown with Crocodile in the desert. After 3 minutes, Luffy was unable to land a hit on Crocodile. Crocodile pierced Luffy with his hook and left him for dead in the desert. Mist All Sunday pulls Luffy out from the sand for an unknown reason and has Pell fly off with Luffy. The rest of the crew made their way to Albarna in an attempt to stop the rebel army from fighting. The crew is able to trick Baroque Works officer agents into splitting up while Vivi tries to make her way to the palace. Mr. Chu's disguise as Usopp fails to trick Vivi, as he didn't realize that the true indicator of their to reveal their identity was the X mark beneath their bandages. As Vivi makes a run for the palace, Sanji intervenes and holds off Mr. Chu. Outside the gates, Chopper and Usopp manage to defeat Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas. So before we move on with the story in Alabasta, we get the next part of the cover story. Hachi's Walk on the Seafloor, Volume 5. Hachi encounters a hungry man. Hachi surfaces to find a hungry man on an island, so he offers him the meat that the panda shark gave him.
Do we know this guy?
I don't know him. Do you know him?
No. I was like, am I supposed to know who this is?
No, I don't know. I think it's just some random dude.
I think so too.
But watch, he'll show up in chapter 837. So
yeah, right.
Don't forget his face.
Remember that time? Yeah, totally.
Now, I don't think there's any real significance to this character. He's just, I think he's just somebody who's been shipwrecked on this island probably for a while, so he's pretty hungry. It's also looks like a pretty small island, at least from what we can see. So
just Hachi doing some good deeds.
Yeah. Try and make up for bad stuff that Arlong was doing. So
yeah, right.
Okay, moving on to the next chapter. Chapter 187, Stalemate. Koza fights his way through Alabaster's forces along with his army. Koza says he needs to make his way to the palace to give Cobra one last chance to surrender. Vivi makes it to the Alabasta guards and asks them to take her to Chaka, saying she needs him to carry out a task. Sanji and Mr. Two are evenly matched as they continue to battle it out. Realizing he needs to take this seriously, Mr. Two uses the power of his clone fruit to combine the weirdest features of the different people he's copied in order to attempt to cripple Sanji with laughter. Turns out, it was just his own face with Usopp's nose. Sanji is unfazed, so Mr. Two takes on Usopp's form. Surely he wouldn't hit his friend, right? Sanji doesn't hesitate. Impressed by Sanji, Mr. Two thinks it may be useless to try to use his friends against him, though he transforms into Nami as he says this. Jackpot. Vivi has made it to the palace, but Chaka's in disbelief. Vivi wants him to destroy the palace. All right, so what do you think of the fight so far?
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is such a great matchup. Like all the French attacks being yelled back and forth. Like they're so evenly matched. Like they're both like kick fighters. They're both
Yeah,
like, you know, kicking attacks only, and also both yelling out like French inspired attack names, which I love.
yeah,
Um, and then Bonclay uses the clone ability to make, what did he say? Like the funniest. It was like so funny or so weird that like people would
yeah,
laugh.
yeah. Like the weirdest face
Yeah, the
of
weirdest
all
face
the weirdest
possible, and
features of everybody combined.
that was incredible. And it's exactly how he normally looks, but with Usopp's nose.
Yeah,
So perfect.
and Sanji totally like calls him out on it too.
Yeah, that was absolutely hilarious.
And yeah, so like I said, I think this is it's not a match you would initially think is like a perfect matchup, but like as they fight, like you realize like they are like
Yeah,
the perfect like pair to go against.
the
Um
perfect pair.
yeah, and
And then it
as they're
ends with
trading blows,
or sorry, go ahead.
yeah, as they're trading blows, I just it was just cracking me up the way like um Mr. Two is like he's like going un do why you? And then like he keeps doing it's like a sequence, like he keeps saying the same thing, and like the why you part just kept like cracking me up for some reason. But
Yeah,
it's like he doesn't expect him to actually get hit like in this fight. It's like why you?
yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, these two are a great match. And then he finds Sanji's weakness at the end when he turns into Nami.
Yeah.
I saw that coming, but that was great. Like that moment when he had the realization. There's like 3 panels where he's like switching his faces, and Sanji's just like deadpan, and
Yeah.
then he switches to Nami's face, and literally like it's like the scene from Mask where like the eyeballs pop out and the jaw drops and the tongue rolls out.
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty
then
much
as soon as it
that
goes
scene,
back
but
to
Sanji's
normal,
face.
yeah, that's hilarious. Because like he just like
That
changes
was
like
so
on a
funny.
dime
He's
and
like,
like perfect like reaction. Yeah.
oh. Yeah. Bon Clay's like, got you.
But before that,
And then we see some heroism from Vivi. I mean, like pretty drastic, but also like, drastic times call for drastic measures sort of situation where she's like, we need to destroy the palace, make a statement.
yeah, that seems like inconceivable. It's like nobody would think to
Yeah.
do this. But when the princess
So
herself,
extreme.
yeah, decides to try to go this route, like she's serious, and like to her that's not important. It's like the people that are important. Like the palace is
Yeah.
just um it's just a building. It's something that could be rebuilt if needed. It doesn't matter if it gets destroyed. It's the people that matter in this case.
Yeah. Seeing Vivi like finally in her element, like back, you know, home, like back in her home, giving orders and being a princess,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty cool.
But just going back to this the Sanji and Mr. Two fight real quick. Um,
So much good stuff happening here.
um, so like Sanji like talks like big over here, um, and says that like basically him changing his face to his friends isn't gonna work on him. It's what's inside that counts. So after he gives like this whole big speech, Mr. Two reacts like how he's like so cool and that he's like
Oh yeah.
impressed by Sanji here, and then like immediately after that, totally gets like overturned by him being so shallow and he changes into Navi. So I just think it's like it was funny, just kind of lead up into that moment.
He's super rational until it comes to Nami, and then he
Yeah,
loses all sense of rationale.
yeah,
Yeah, good stuff.
yeah. I don't really have too much to add here. Do you have any other final thoughts before we move
I'm
on?
good on that. I'm good on 87.
Okay, cool. So next part of the cover story: Hachi's Walk on the Seafloor, Volume 6. Hachi receives a ring in gratitude. Hachi says his farewell to the man still stranded on the island, now with a cool ring in hand.
Pretty self-explanatory. He gets 3 waves though.
Yeah, that's true.
With Sashi's 6 arms.
Well, now the guy looks like he's fishing. He's trying to get some more food, and that we see how tiny the island actually is.
Yeah, the
So
island is tiny. One palm tree tiny.
yeah, Unfortunately, Hachi probably wouldn't be able to ferry him because he doesn't have like the giant like pot
That's
that
right.
he brought Zoro in before.
Yep.
So he, he just kind of leaves him here. Like, good luck. Hope somebody else finds you.
See you later. Thanks for the ring. Yeah.
Okay. How about we get your summary for the next chapter?
All right. Chapter 188. Oh, come my way, karate. Destroy the palace. The palace guard is in an uproar after hearing Vivi's orders. But Chaka, seeing Cobra and Vivi, agrees to her decision. Meanwhile, on Polka Boulevard, Bon Clay has the upper hand as Sanji refuses to hit his beloved Nami. As Bon Clay goes for the finishing move, Sanji is finally able to land a blow. He found a flaw in Bon Clay's ability. Right before attacking, Bon Clay must revert to their original form by touching their face, which leaves an opening for Sanji. Just as the tide begins to turn, Bon Clay reveals their next ability, Prima Ballerina, where Bon Clay attaches the swans from their outfit onto their ballet shoes. With the extended reach and bullet-like beaks, Bon Clay takes the offensive. Sanji sees an opening and tells Bon Clay, "There is something on your cheek." Bon Clay falls for the oldest trick in the book and pays the price as Sanji lands a massive blow.
Yeah. So this is just a pretty great fight still going on here. And when it seems pretty hopeless, like Sanji doesn't seem to have a way around you know Bon Clay's ability to take on Nami's form.
Yep.
He does see that there's an opening here, so he's able to take advantage of that. And kind of outsmarts Mr. Two here.
Yeah, this fight is so good. So there's a moment where Bon Clay is kind of using Nami's looks to swoon Sanji, and his eyes are popping out of his head. And this happens a lot when Sanji sees Nami, his eyes literally pop out of his head in the shape of hearts. But in this scene, Bon Clay kicks the heart, like he kicks the eye heart that comes out of, like as if it actually happened and it's not just an emote. Like he actually kicks the eye.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh my gosh, I
That's
thought
so
that
good.
was absolutely amazing.
And
Um,
I'm also just noticing too, like in the panel right before that, only one of his eyes is popping out. The other one's covered by the hair, so you don't see it. But only one eye is
yep,
actually popping out.
so good. I thought that was incredible. Kind of breaking the fourth wall there a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Um, yeah, let me see some of Bon Clay's pretty crazy moves.
Yeah, and then Sanji does straight up say my eye, like right after he gets kicked. So acknowledging that's
Yeah, no,
exactly what
like it
happened.
totally happened. Like they totally acknowledge it. You see it getting like hit to the side. I thought that was just amazing.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's so good. Very aware. But yeah, Sanji clearly struggling here.
Yeah, I like how in like the next sequence, how Mr. Two throws like the mascara boomerang,
Mhm.
but then like in the middle of the attack, as like the boomerangs are midair, he switches to Nami's form and stops Sanji dead in his tracks, and then that causes the boomerang to go around behind and still come through and hit him. So while
Yeah,
Sanji is distracted by his Nami form, so Mr. Two is also kind of trying to use those tactics to try to get the upper hand here.
yeah, yeah. Bon Clay is playing to their strengths here, like and getting the upper hand. And then Sanji
Yeah.
finally figures out the tell essentially.
Yeah. And then Mr. Two is like not really like trying to like acknowledge it at first. Like, what? I
Mhm.
can hear you. So like Sanji's trying to like say, I figured out how like your thing works. Like he's not really like
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's exactly how it works. But then like a few seconds later, he's like, okay, so what? You figured it out, but it doesn't matter. I'm still gonna beat you.
And just when you thought Bon Clay's outfit couldn't get any crazier, they got the swan feet, which is quite a look.
Yeah. Looks so goofy.
But a cool tactic because it
Mm.
it does give Bon Clay an advantage over Sanji when they're kick fighting.
Yeah,
So
so
I thought that was kind of a clever use of Also, part of the outfit that we've been seeing on Bankley the whole time, like
Hmm.
those swan heads, and it's funny that they serve a purpose and they're like part of one of Bankley's power up moves.
But yeah, it gives Bon Clay like a longer reach with his kicks.
Yep.
So that's one advantage over Sanji. But then we also see him like pierce a hole like in the wall like
Yep.
cleanly. So that shows just like, oh, actually, was that the next? Was that this chapter?
Was it? Yeah, I think so. Bankley like
Yeah.
compares the
Okay.
attack to like a bullet, like it can pierce
Yeah,
whatever
that's right. Because
wall.
yeah, Sanji says like there's no cracks around the hole, so he's like shocked to
Yeah.
see like um just like how clean like the hit is
Hmm.
because it's all like basically like focus at the tip. Also, I wanted to mention they just finished revealing like the set 4 of the One Piece card game,
Oh, cool.
and like part of it is focused on Alabasta, but they have a Sanji card and a Mister Two card, but the artwork lines up where they're each kicking like out of frame, and like their legs are basically like crossing with the art of the
What?
other
Oh,
card.
that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it for you
Speaking
later.
of artwork lining up, did you notice that this cover and then the cover of volume 22 line up?
Yeah, so that's cool
That's
too.
so
Yeah.
cool. I just noticed that today. I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
So it's
I
on
love that
brand.
kind of
The
stuff.
card game is doing that kind of thing now too. With
Yeah, that's super fun. I love
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Yeah, because they really are like a great matchup. Like
yeah,
yeah, a match made in heaven.
yeah.
No, that's
Just
so
a
cool
slight
though.
tangent there.
Did you also notice like in the beginning um when Bankley revealed himself as nominee is like trying to swoon Sanji and the Doom has the hearts in it. So it's like the Doom with hearts. I love that.
Yeah, that's a little detail. I didn't really pick up on that. Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, this was a fun chapter. Just like a lot going on.
Yeah. And then like I love this little panel like above that too, where like Sanji's like crying, saying like she's so cute, but like you see like just Mr. Two kind of like doing this like goofy little dance as Nami in the back.
Yeah. He's like, I got him. Yeah, that was a fun chapter.
Yeah, so basically ends mid attack. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had on this one.
Yeah, same.
All right, ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next part of the cover story: Hachi's Walk on the Seafloor, Volume 7, The Goldfish Princess Who Lost Her Ring. Hachi happens upon a goldfish princess who is happy to see Hachi found her missing ring.
What a coincidence.
So we're getting like a video game like trading sequence where it's like every character gives you something that you give to another character that gives you something to give to
Yep.
another character.
Yup.
It's just like Link's Awakening. I don't know if you ever played that one on Game Boy.
Mm-mm.
It came out on Switch too. They actually did a remake for it. But yeah, that's something right of that game where you like you get one item and it just starts like a chain of like trading to get like another item like down the road. Like so you get like
That's
a
cool.
reward at the end. But that's basically like what this is.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see where this side story goes. Because so far it's just been like Haji doing a bunch of good deeds.
Yeah.
It's like proving like we already liked Hachi, but like Hachi's a good guy.
Yeah, like out of like all the Arlong pirates, like
Yeah.
you kind of felt like yeah, he was a little bit more good natured than the other
Yeah.
guys who were a little bit more you know, brutal. But like Haji kind of seemed like he had a good nature, kind of naivety about him.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
they're building up his likability.
Yeah. All right. Chapter 189 2. After a long and grueling battle, Sanji manages to defeat Mr. Two. Realizing he's been defeated, Mr. Two admits he's been beaten and tells Sanji to finish him off. Instead, Sanji tells him it was a good fight and offers out his hand, then beats him up before taking Usopp's goggles back, So much for that friendship. The royal guards gather explosives to carry out Vivi's order. As Vivi looks on with Chaka, she mentions that she's worried about her friends. Chaka says Vivi has grown these past few years and they will have to throw a celebration for her and her friends once this is over. Suddenly, one of the guards falls from the roof. Crocodile has arrived and he is not happy that they plan to destroy his future home. Zoro is trying to find Nami, who he now sees as being chased by Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger. He decides to try to find a shortcut to cut them off. Well, we'll see if that works out for Zoro. Yeah, directions are his
That
strong
was
suit.
hilarious. I love that scene you're talking about when Zoro goes to take a shortcut and like Guru or the Duck Squad is like, where is he going? And there's literally an arrow on the ground pointing directly like the quickest route to Nami and Ko. Like that was hilarious. Poor Nami.
Yeah. Yeah, so what'd you think of this one?
I mean, just continuing on this epic battle. There's an amazing full page panel here of the two of them um kind of doing the same move, like mirroring each other. They're both doing like their like key moves. This is right before the like finishing move. Or no, maybe it
Was
is
this
the finishing move.
the Vo Vengeance page?
Yeah, Vo Vengeance and the Swam Bombardier dive.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's such a cool panel. They're kind of like yin and yang. They're kind of like mirroring each other, doing the same move, and it's like who's gonna land standing up.
It's kind of like those
Um,
like the samurai battle where like they like take the swords and they like slash each other at the same time, and they like there's like the moment where they're both standing and you see like who's gonna fall,
yes,
and then
exactly like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Exactly like that.
And then they're both standing there, but then like it's kind of a delayed reaction where Mister Two like takes the hit and he goes flying into the wall, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like don't think about it too hard, but like it's cool. So
it is cool. I mean, yeah, Sanji walks away, and then Sanji walks away looking like a total badass in this scene.
yeah,
Um, he's like, "Looks like I broke some more ribs." Like super casually, he's walking away. Feels like a very Zoro thing to say.
yeah. But don't tell Sanji you said that.
I won't. I won't. No, I thought that was a very cool finale to a very cool fight sequence. I enjoyed their battle. I thought that was super fun.
Yeah. And then there's kind of this like little heartwarming moment too, where like Mr. Two is he acknowledges he's been defeated.
Yeah,
He's like the organization's gonna eliminate me anyway, so you might as well just finish me off. But Sanji kind of like has like a moment of mercy, puts his hand out, and like you said, it's a good fight, nothing more to be said. And they kind of shake hands, but Mr. Two's like really touched, and then
yeah,
yeah, Sanji just like basically knocks him out and takes the goggles, like so kind of like a fake out. But I think there's like a genuine moment here as well. But like,
absolutely.
yeah, I think that's not like it wasn't just to attack him again. I think there actually was a legitimate like, kind of like camaraderie here.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah,
Like Sanji definitely could have killed Bon Clay,
yeah,
and Bon Clay even like accepted that and admitted defeat. Um, but Sanji, yeah, showing some mercy and respect.
respect for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So they even have like the little box here. Winner Sanji spoils a victory, a dubious friendship.
yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Love that.
uh,
I love how he's been kind of giving those updates throughout this whole series, like this whole arc. Like
yeah,
the little like we've got so and so versus so and so over here at like this area, and like usually gives a small map, kind of indicating like where we are in the battle, and I find that all like really fun and makes it a little easier to follow everything that's happening because we are jumping all over the place
yeah.
quite a
I
bit.
like those details too because it says South Block, the Battle of Poke Boulevard. Like you said, yeah, it's just kind of nice. Like it's like you can kind of follow along in that way. It's like kind of
Yeah,
it's a detail that's it's like nice to have. It's not super necessary, but it's like it's nice that it's there.
totally.
but we also get to shift focus here outside the battle. So we kind of get a little bit more plot stuff here because they're gonna blow up the palace, and
Yep.
this is pretty shocking when the body just kind of falls from like the roof, and Crocodile shows up.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just a kind of moment that like kind of makes like your heart drop because Crocodile shows up here and like VB's here without like any of the Straw Hats to defend her. Like Chalk is
Right.
here, but we don't really know the extent of his abilities yet. So
Yeah, and we
um,
know how powerful Crocodile is. So yeah,
yeah,
not a yeah, like you said, a nerving moment for sure. Unnerving.
yeah, and he arrives by dropping somebody from the roof, which is pretty brutal.
Very brutal. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, then we get the setup for the Mister One and Miss Doublefinger versus Zoro and Nami. So this one seems like a double battle at first, but they're kind of setting up the stage for this fight to happen. But right now, it looks like less of a fight and more of like a run.
Yeah, Nami is just clean.
And then Miss Doublefinger like still doing the same walk, like even though she's like chasing after like Nami, like Nami's running, Miss Doublefinger is still doing the same thing. It's kind of like Michael Myers, like it's just kind of walk, he's not gonna run.
Yeah. In style.
But their tactic
Yep.
is to try to take out the weaker target first. So they see Nami as like the weakling, so like easy prey.
Yeah. I mean, she's running and screaming, so clearly the weaker. Making yourself the obvious weakest link.
Yeah, so far Zoro's not really showing up to be much help. So
Right.
okay, any other thoughts on this chapter?
I'm set to move on.
Okay. Okay, so Hachi's Walk on the Sea-Floor, Volume 8, The Golden Trident Given in Gratitude. As thanks for returning the ring, the Goldfish Princess gives Hachi a shiny gold trident.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Thing is sweet.
So yeah, continuing
Yeah.
the trading quest.
Yeah, it's like you said. Yeah.
All right, let's get the next summary.
Chapter 190, Climate Baton. Nami continues to flee Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger, but she knows she can't run forever. Mr. One lunges for Nami, but is met by Zoro's sword. Zoro and Mr. One face off, and Mr. One reveals he has eaten the dice fruit, making him into a human sword. As the swordsman and sword man face off, Miss Doublefinger chases after Nami, who is again fleeing for her life. Nami decides she must take a stand and remembers the weapon she had asked Usopp to make for her. Just then, she is pierced through the shoulder by a spike that is shot through the wall behind her. Miss Doublefinger makes her appearance and tells Nami that fighting is futile, for she has eaten the spike fruit and can produce spikes from anywhere on her body. Nami puts the climate baton to use, but is only able to execute some harmless party tricks. How embarrassing. That's where I end it. Like, so embarrassing that even Miss Doublefinger is like feeling bad for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yep. So the fight commences.
if you want to call it that, yeah. No.
Well, at least with Zoro and Mr. One, like this seems like another perfect matchup, just like Sanji and Bon Clay. Like I said, the swordsman versus the sword man. Like they're both multi-sword wielders, essentially. But yeah, I thought this is kind of like a perfect matchup for Zoro.
Yeah. But yeah,
And
so
explains those
there's that
long fingers
distinction.
that Sean's been talking about
Yeah.
all like, this whole time.
Yeah, it kind of goes with his ability here, so
Yep.
seems by design.
a cool power up too, like a human sword. We got a human sword and a human spike.
Yeah. But yeah, we have this funny moment where Zoro says he would have joined Brokeworks if he could have been the boss,
Oh
and
yeah,
Miss Doublefinger finds this amusing.
yeah.
Um,
He's like, offer still stands.
yeah,
Make me your leader.
yeah,
Or no, I think he says he wouldn't want to be leader anymore.
yeah. He says I'm not interested in being the boss anymore. Only an idiot would
Yeah,
want that job.
yeah.
He's seen
That's
the
pretty funny.
caliber of Brokeworks so far.
Yeah, right. We also get introduced to the climate baton,
Yeah.
which was alluded to, I think, in the last volume. Right? Was it the last volume when Nami received it?
Um.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's either the last volume or the volume before. I don't remember
It
exactly
was like
when.
as they were riding into Alubarna.
Yeah, it might have been the volume before.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought this was pretty funny because we see, she's pretty much just executing party tricks, which is she finds amusing herself, which I thought was laugh out loud funny because she was like, "Oh, what a surprise, pigeons!" or something like she was reacting to all these surprises like in amusement, and then immediately like regretting that amusement and being like, "How dare you, Usopp?"
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
less her being amused, but I think it's more like nervous laughter, kind of like
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
call.
you're probably right.
Yeah, it's like reminiscent to like when the Unluckies drew their pictures
Oh yeah.
back at Whiskey Peak, and now he's like, "That's amazing! Like, good job. That looks just like us." And then like a second later, she's like, "Well, so much for that plan. I was gonna leave." So Nami does this like really well, and it's hilarious every time.
So that was so funny. Um, yeah, she seemed mildly amused.
But yeah, now does not seem to be the best time to try to learn this thing on the spot.
Yeah, right.
Like she's trying to read like the instructions on like how it works, but it's um like everything that Usopp is like giving so far is just like specifically for party tricks. Like she's like looking for a weapon.
Specifically for parties. Oh my gosh. Which is so Usopp because we literally saw in the last volume the 5-ton hammer and
Yeah.
like you're like, oh no, did he just make another paper mache fake weapon for Nami?
It was Usopp just trolling. Like this is not intended
Yeah.
for actual battle.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny to see like Nami try to figure this out on the spot, and she's like, "Oh, here we go. Here's a rifle," and they're like, "Yeah, like it shoots the flowers." Like,
Yeah.
like
Not going to
how can I
plan.
weapon this thing? She just throws on the ground and like splits into like pieces.
Yeah.
Like every time, she does like a trick. She's like that idiot. She throws on the ground, and
Yeah.
then like after the pigeons, like Miss Doublefinger's like, are you all right?" She's like actually concerned for her.
Yeah, and like her last words at the end of the volume was like, "Poor thing." Like
Yeah.
she's feeling so bad for Nami trying to like do her thing. So funny.
She's like, "I'm still
And
gonna kill you,
meanwhile,
but I feel bad about it."
yeah. Meanwhile, Miss Doublefinger is showing like some pretty strong fighting capabilities, like being able to turn
Hmm.
herself into a spike. She pierced through a wall and already spiked Nami through the arm
Yeah, that
or
was
the
pretty rough.
shoulder area, which is pretty brutal. And then was able to like spike through an entire wall and kick it down. So she's
Yeah,
clearly pretty strong. So Nami needs to figure her shit out real quick.
yeah. So we get introduced to the two new devil fruits here. We get
Yep.
like a better sense of like what their fights are gonna be like now. Yeah. So for Nami, so far not looking too good.
No.
Oh, but like in this little flashback sequence where it shows Nami like talking to Usopp about getting the weapon, um, like Usopp says that like he'll do it. She's like, "Oh, thank you, Usopp. I love you." And then Usopp's like, "Now about the cost of the materials." And she's like, "Thank you so much."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but weapons like this don't come cheap. I'm counting on you. Like, just not accepting that
Yeah.
she's going to have to pay. But like if it was the other way
Classic
around, she's like,
Nami.
"Yeah, yeah, I'll charge you for the cost of materials, the labor, plus markup, interest on that, and the delivery fee." Like she's gonna put like, all these charges on top of it.
Classic Nami.
Yeah, I think that's about it for this chapter.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about we move on? Next part of the cover story. Hachi's Walk on the Seafloor, Volume 9, a sea boar hunted by a sea monster. Hachi comes across a large sea boar who is about to be eaten by an even larger sea creature.
Big fish, bigger fish.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have like a sea boar. The other one looks kind of like a chameleon. It's got like that
Yeah,
curled
it does. That
tail.
tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
But
that.
there's always a bigger fish.
There's always bigger fish. Wonder if that trident's going to come in use.
Maybe. It might be there for a reason.
We're going to find out.
But for now, let's move on to chapter 191, She Who Controls the Weather. Nami continues to dodge Miss Doublefinger's spike attacks while she attempts to learn how her new weapon works. She tries to hide indoors, but Miss Doublefinger easily breaks in. Nami throws part of her cloak over Miss Doublefinger, which buys her a few moments. As Nami frantically tries to read through Usopp's instructions, she's getting the sense that all he came up with was party tricks. Realizing that she needs to fight back in order to survive and can't run away anymore. She uses the climate baton parts to create different temperature bubbles, but they seem to be ineffective. Ready to end this fight, Miss Doublefinger closes the gap and skewers Nami's leg with a spike. Nami is able to discover the Cyclone Tempo feature of the baton just in time, using the air to shoot part of the baton like a boomerang that sends Miss Doublefinger flying. Now getting frustrated, Miss Doublefinger recovers, then seemingly pierces her spikes through Nami's body, but it's just a mirage. Now that Nami has a better handle on how her weapon works, she is confident she can win this fight.
All right. Nami's figuring out how to work the baton.
Yeah. So we have a little bit more of like kind of a little struggle going on. Nami is just trying to survive. It's she's on the back foot here, but she's starting to get a sense of her weapon and a better idea of how it works. So she's kind of seeing maybe she can actually compete in this fight here.
Yeah. Double finger showing the double stinger. You think that's why it's called double finger?
Yeah.
Signature move right there.
Double finger, double stinger.
Yeah, she definitely like seems to feel bad for Nami, but Nami finally gets like a shot in, or at least gets to deceive her with the mirage, which got me for a second. I was like, no way, no fucking way.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, that was pretty clever though of Nami.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's like figuring out how to use the baton, which is like very involved. You know, there's like 3 components. Each one blows a different type of ball. Got the heat ball, the cool ball, and the thunder ball. So it's kind of cool, like slowly watching Nami figure this out and like using the baton with more and more success, seemingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we get to too much of it working working in her favor, and I was gonna say as intended, but I don't even think that's how it was intended. I think Nami's just kind of like finding a way for it to work,
Yeah.
with what she has, and it ends up working out in her favor. But I do think it's hilarious that we still get a few more of the party tricks, and somehow a boxing glove was able to fit into this little rod.
I mean, yeah, Usopp has a serious future in like toy making.
Like, I don't know, like, why he put so much focus on all these other things, but it's hilarious because like they are so useless like in this fight. And like
Yeah.
again, like we talked about, like there's like a little part in the instructions where I think she's reading, and so the aforementioned tricks, when performed at a party or celebration, will liven up the event and entertain everyone present. Like Like he
Yeah.
actually designed specifically for these party tricks to be like a feature of this, like as if like she didn't ask for a weapon, like she asked for just something for fun. Like
Yeah, right?
then she notices like there's a note, combat mode instructions can be found on the reverse side. So after going through all those party tricks that she didn't need, she finds out, okay, so there's actually a battle mode. Okay, so Usopp put a little bit more thought into this than I thought.
Yeah. That was a great moment. Gotta lead with the combat mode though next time. Usopp. She asked for a weapon. She didn't ask for a party trick.
Yeah. But Nami does say she's been a thief for 8 years, so this isn't her first rodeo.
Right.
So
She has some experience.
she does have she's been in life or death situations, so she can survive. She's not as much of a pushover as she might seem.
Hmm. And we get to see
Yeah.
a lot of cool moves from Miss Doublefinger using her spike fruit to like kind of make like a spike ball and the stingers and being able to walk inverted on the ceiling using spikes.
Yeah, she has
Like
like
it was
the
cool
spikes
seeing
that
all the
reach over
different
50
moves.
feet.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool moves by Miss Doublefinger.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
you can tell she's like not taking this super seriously yet. She's like smoking and like letting Nami attack. Like she's not even on the offensive. She's just like curious what the next party trick's gonna be. She's like not taking it seriously at all.
Yeah, it's like she was just like blowing the bubbles. It's like, ooh, that feels nice. That's like a little bit warm. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's funny there.
But I think Nami does land one good shot at the end, right before she was skewered, but not actually because it's just a mirage.
Yeah.
Um, but that was a cool trick that she figured out pretty quickly. Like, she's a quick study.
Yeah, for sure. But and then like Miss Doublefinger is like also completely surprised at like how well the mirage looked like at such a close distance.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's shocked that like that was even possible.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so that's very clever of Nami.
Yeah. Cool move. Maybe this baton isn't a total dud.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nami says she's finally understanding the climate baton. So she's found her confidence and she's able to actually fight back now. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but she got there.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Next part of the cover story. Hachi's Walk on the Seafloor, Volume 10. Hachi saves the sea boar. Using his new trident, Hachi attacks a large sea creature and saves the sea boar from being lunch.
Would you look at that? Right in the tongue.
So it did come in handy.
I'm impressed, Hachi. I mean, that's a big creature that you slayed with a trident, or at least scared off with a trident. That's
Yeah.
kudos.
Yeah, he didn't back down or run away from this, so pretty brave. Not gonna
I'm
lie.
impressed.
All right, let's move on to chapter. Yeah, let's move on to the next chapter for your summary.
Chapter 192, Tornado Warning. At the palace, Miss All Sunday is able to hold off the guards from assisting their king. Sir Crocodile tells Vivi that he killed Luffy and she refuses to believe him. Crocodile then tells King Cobra his true motives. He's looking for the Pluton. Meanwhile, Nami and Miss Doublefinger continue to fight as Nami keeps miraculously dodging Miss Doublefinger's spikes. After a lot of trial and error, Nami begins to figure out how to use the climate baton, and using her knowledge of weather, she formulates a plan. As Miss Doublefinger continues her attack, Nami forms a small cloud using the climate baton and waiting for the perfect moment unleashes a lightning bolt, zapping Miss Doublefinger. This attack only enrages Miss Doublefinger, and she lands a killer blow on Nami's Mirage. With the new confidence, Nami faces Miss Doublefinger and warns her, watch out for tornadoes.
Yeah, I like the confidence that Nami's having now.
Yeah.
In the
I feel
chapter
like she
being
ends
called
this one
Tornado
like really
Warning.
confident.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like seeing him back to back, it was almost the exact same outcome of the last chapter, where she does the Mirage. She catches Ms. Doublefinger in a Mirage twice. Because that was also the end of the last chapter we just read.
Yeah.
But anyways, to the beginning of this chapter.
Yeah, let's start there.
Miss All Sunday's power is so strong. Like, she's wicked strong.
We haven't actually seen her like in too much of a fight yet. Like we saw her like fight Pal a little bit, but that was kind of like he was caught by surprise, and that was over pretty quick.
Yeah, but like I feel like from what little we've seen of her, like her power is very strong. Like she's able to hold off like right here like a whole battalion of guys.
Yeah.
From entering a gate just with her power. And she doesn't even have to be there. She's still like, up in the palace with everyone else.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Pretty strong stuff.
Yeah, and then we get a little bit more information about Crocodile's motives here.
Yep. Right. So they kind of describe Pluton as being a weapon. Right?
And
Is that this chapter?
Yeah, so Crocodile asks where is Pluton, and Cobra seems shocked that Crocodile even knows about Pluton. We don't really get too much more information about Pluton yet, but we know
Gotcha.
that
Jumping the gun.
Crocodile is looking for it.
Yep.
So if he's going through all this effort to obtain Pluton, it must be some kind of a big deal.
Yep. And this is the first time we've heard of it. Also seems like the first time that Vivi's heard of it.
Yeah, Vivi also seems confused. Yeah, so I think like the silent reactions, but then like having the punctuation different for each person, I think is a little indication. We don't get
Yeah,
too
I thought
much
that was kind of
what Miss
cool.
All Sunday is thinking here, but like she's like, thinking something. We can see that like she has like the ellipses, but we don't know exactly like what she's thinking about this. But like Chaka seems a little surprised too, so maybe he might know about this.
Yeah, I think that's actually really clever, like breaking it down like that. It's like Vivi, like just with the three punctuations, like it's like Vivi doesn't know what's going on. She's probably never heard of Pluton before. Miss All Sunday is kind of like a calculated response where she probably knows what's going on, but she doesn't really have an emotional like reaction. And then Chaka has an exclamation point, probably meaning he knows exactly what's happening and is alarmed by it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So all
he
that
knows what
without saying a
Pluton
word.
means, and he's scared or alarmed.
Yeah,
And then
so I think that's
obviously
right.
we get Cobra's reaction, which is obviously like shock.
Yeah. But just before this, I like that when Vivi asks like where Luffy is, and then Crocodile says that he's dead. Like Vivi's like, "There's no way, I don't believe that." So I love this confidence
Yeah.
that we've seen this with I think we've seen this with other characters as well, where like they just have this confidence in Luffy. But I love that Vivi is also like kind of like on that train too, where she like, won't believe that Luffy is dead.
Yep. Yeah, she refuses.
And then Crocodile makes it clear that like his plan does not allow for Vivi or Cobra to survive. Like his intention is to kill them on with the kingdom. They have to die in order for him to take over. So he has no intention of letting them live. So he's making that
Don't
very
like the sound of that. Don't like the sound of that one bit.
So then, the rest of the chapter is more the Nami and Doublefinger fight. So we kind of see more of Doublefinger's abilities in action.
Yep.
So,
Which Which so the immediate next scene following what we just said, Miss Doublefinger has Nami pinned using her arms as spikes and her boobs as spikes to pin Nami to a wall. So she's got Nami's head like in a vice essentially.
Yeah.
And then turns her face into a spike and goes to headbutt Nami to finish her off, and Nami somehow evades. Like throughout this entire fight, I don't know
Yeah.
how Nami's been doing it. Like we know Nami has the she's a thief and like has evasive maneuver ability, but like this is like next level. Like I mean, she's just dodging everything.
Yeah, her agility is like through
Very
the roof.
impressive.
Yeah, but it is hilarious. So like when like there's that panel like in the bottom right corner where like when her boobs are like spikes over there, then like you
Yeah,
start to see like her mouth kind of like pucker a little bit, and then it turns into the spike. So that looks super goofy.
yeah,
Yeah, so we're seeing a little bit more from Double Finger, and it's pretty hilarious.
yeah. It's pretty funny. Even a
So
face is a weapon.
yeah. Then we see her hair spike out. She has a bad hair day.
Yep, the urchin hair, sea
Yeah.
urchin hair. That was cool.
And
And we started to see, and then at that point, we started to see Nami really like finding her groove with this baton. I think like it's taken her a long time to get some kind of like comfortability with it, but it really is like a great weapon for her because of her
yeah,
knowledge of weather and like how to use the hot air and the cold air and the lightning to, in this case, form a small little cloud that she then like builds up with electricity and intentionally causes a lightning strike to accurately hit her opponent. Like that was pretty impressive.
yeah, for sure.
And then the panel of the actual lightning strike looks so cool. Of when Miss Doublefinger is getting shocked. It's like on the last. It's one of the last
Okay, yeah,
pages.
that's a cool one.
So cool, like
Yeah.
such a dynamic, explosive panel there.
But I like this like the little build up too, because like before this, like Nami is realizing that there needs to be more moisture in the air, so she starts like
Yep.
she calls the rain tempo, and she's like sprinkling the water out, and then Miss
Yeah.
Doublefinger's like a water show, and then Nami's like sprinkler, and then Miss Doublefinger just thinks she's playing around. She's like, all right, the show's getting boring now, but Nami's like, I have a plan, just like deal with it.
Yeah. Let me do it.
Like I'm actually trying to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, that was hilarious. Like, wait, hold on. Let me do this attack on you. Be patient. Be patient with me here.
And then we see Miss Doublefinger like she can like buff up her arms, like so she
Yeah.
gets like jacked, and then she turns her arms like very spiky. But then after that, like her arms are still pretty jacked. So that's another part of her ability we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't really explain that. She's kind of like she inserted her spikes into her arm and was able to like jack herself up. But yeah, you could tell she's taking it seriously, and Nami's still able to land some sort of attack. Like she's still standing, but then she immediately launches her counterattack, and Nami did another Mirage successfully, and then is like super confident and like, watch out. Tornadoes are next.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and I like how Nami's kind of making like the weather forecast here.
Yeah.
It's like
But it's nice to see Nami like falling into a groove and like fighting successfully. Like she's had her fights in the past and has been successful. And she also used like a staff in those situations as well. She kind of like had a staff that
she did
fought with. So she has like some experience with that type of weapon. But it's cool seeing her like actually fighting a devil fruit user right now and like holding her own.
Yeah.
Because normally she, like, at the beginning of this fight is running for the hills and being like, Zoro, Luffy, Sanji, help me, like, and kind of relying on her more powerful allies to assist her. But she's holding her own.
Yeah, for sure.
And using her wits too. Like, she's using her wits and her ability to, like, evade attacks, like, holding her own.
Yeah, and I like the point that you just made about her weapon. It seems like the
Yeah.
natural progression is like again going back to like a video game comparison. It's like you
Mhm.
have like your basic weapon, then you get like the upgraded version of it. It's like so it makes sense for Nami to have like a weather themed weapon. That's already like
Yeah.
a version that she had before of like a standard like bow staff. In this case, like they call it a baton. So yeah, it's just cool that she has like this ability to use it so effectively with her knowledge
Mhm.
of like weather and like different temperatures, and she uses it to very smartly like fight back.
Yeah, it really does fit her. It really fits her character and her fighting style. Like, it's cool seeing her developing her fighting style.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, she probably wishes that it wasn't in the middle of a battle with the devil fruit user that's trying to kill her, but, like, you know, she's figuring it out.
No time like the present.
Yeah, right. Do or die.
All right, ready to move on?
Yep.
Hachi's Walk on the Seafloor, Volume 11, In the Mouth of the Sea Boar. The sea boar seems to have something in its mouth. Yeah, very fitting uh, title.
Yeah, I think that one pretty much sums it up.
Hachi's like, what's going on here? All right, let's get on to chapter 193, Utopia. Nami prepares to launch her final attack. Usopp explained that this is a one-time use attack, so Nami would have to make it count. Noticing Nami seems to be on her last leg, Miss Doublefinger spikes up her hair and charges into Nami. Nami manages to hold her back with her already injured foot as it gets pierced by the spike, but Nami says the pain is nothing compared to what Vivi's had to endure. She launches a tornado tempo, which can't miss at this range. To Nami's horror, two little toy birds shoot out at the ends. Then the end of the baton begins to spin as the toy birds wrap around Doublefinger, sending her flying through some walls, knocking her out. Back at the palace, Crocodile demands Cobra to tell him where he can find Pluton, a terrible ancient weapon named after the god of death. Crocodile goes on to explain that his ultimate goal is to use the weapon to become more powerful than the world government and gather an army of pirates to serve him. Cobra says he's not sure where the weapon is located or if it even truly exists. Crocodile figured as much. He then threatens Cobra and tells him that in 30 minutes a special cannonball will be fired into the palace square, where the royal army is gathered, causing a 3-mile crater. Crocodile then asks if Cobra knows where the poneglyph is located, which Vivi wonders why he would need access to the recorded history. Cobra agrees to take Crocodile there, but Chaka cannot stand idly by any longer. Elsewhere, Zoro fights Mr. One, but is unable to cut through his steel body. Zoro says he doesn't know how to cut through steel, so he'll just have to learn. All right. So we get the wrap up of the Nami and Doublefinger fight. We get a little bit more plot progression. Where do you want to start on this one?
Let's start with the fight. I mean, I don't know what's more impressive at this point, Nami's fighting capabilities or Usopp's ability to create this weapon to the last possible minute. Because it's got a lot going on in there. There's a lot going on in this baton. And he said he was up against it too. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
have much time to make this. I'll just throw something together. And, like, I'm impressed. I think Usopp really shines his craftsmanship.
Yeah, he probably could have done it in like half the time if he didn't put all the bells and whistles in for the party tricks, but
Yeah.
no big deal.
Yeah. Didn't need the flowers. You didn't need the fake flower gun in there. That probably could have gone. But no, this was a cool scene, and like the panel of Nami sending Miss Doublefinger flying is very cool. There's kind of like this like spiral trail that she leaves as she's like sent back, and it just looks
Yeah.
it looks very cool on the page.
It is. The way that
And I also
Nami's
thought it was
flying
kind of fun
back.
because like Nami didn't even kind of know what was happening, and like it just kind of worked out. Um, but it was an interesting finishing move with the wind up toy birds.
Yeah, then that ends up with, we could see, Double Finger's, silhouette in, both walls that she went through,
Yeah,
because she was spinning, like, it's
so
in
good.
different positions, but, yeah, her shape is still in the wall.
Yep,
It was a nice touch.
that was nice. Um, so yeah, I think that was a great fight for Nami, and it seems like she's figured out that baton pretty well.
Yeah, and Nami shows a lot of grit here too, like, with her, like, stopping, Double Finger's head with her own foot,
Oh yeah,
which is pretty brutal, like, it just goes right through her foot, but, like,
yep,
she says, like, it doesn't hurt compared to what Vivi's had to go through. So, like, even, like, in this time when, like, Nami's life is on the line, she's concerned about Vivi.
yep,
So that shows, little bit more of, Nami's character here.
yeah. She shows a lot of grit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Let me jump into Crocodile. I kind of jumped the gun earlier. This is when he explains what Pluton is,
Yeah.
and then also brings up the archive. What was it?
The poneglyph?
Yeah, the Poneglyph thing. Which begs me to ask, who is Crocodile's source? Like, who is telling him about this stuff? How does he know? Like, there's got to be an inside person telling him that, because that seemed like some very privy information. Pluton specifically was something that only the king would know. It's something that's passed down through the king, and he probably only tells his most close companions and allies. So I'm like, how did Crocodile get this information? Like,
That's a good question.
um, like there might be an inside person who um flipped,
Yeah,
or was like, or Crocodile had a way of getting that information out of somebody close to the king.
yeah, interesting point.
But yeah, I'm curious how Crocodile got a hold of all of that information.
Yeah, so we do get more insight as to exactly what this Pluton is. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's named for the god of death. It was the most terrible weapon of the ancient world. One shot of it can vaporize an entire island to smithereens. Um, and then Crocodile, like we just talked about, seems to be aware that it's in this kingdom, and this has been what he's been aiming for this whole time. So all the stuff he's been going through is for this. Um, yeah, so this is our first introduction to
Evil.
like this type of thing in the series. But we don't have too much more here, but we have a better sense. This is kind of building up to like this being so important. Um, and Crocodile in the past, like Brokeworks has said that like their goal is to create this utopia, but it's really more Crocodile's utopia for him. It's very self-centered. He wants to be more powerful than the world government, and this is his means of achieving it. He wants basically to have a power that nobody can compete against, and to have everybody following him and to not be contested. So, pretty lofty goal.
World domination.
So he's essentially biting the hand that feeds him here because he's a legal pirate as one of the seven warlords of the sea. He is uh he's cut a deal with the world government to operate as a pirate for a cut of his profits. So for him, like, this isn't good enough. He has loftier ambitions. He wants to be above those who are in power above him. So he wants to kind of supersede them, and he wants to have that ultimate power, so nobody can contest him.
Yeah. I mean, he's a warlord. It's right. It's in his title. I mean, let's go. He wants it all. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, he has a pretty good gig here. So again, he's a legal pirate. Like they let him do his thing, um, but to him that's just not good enough. So
Yeah.
he's willing to throw that
The
away.
get out of jail free card,
Yeah.
like he wants it all.
So and then Crocodile is also saying how yeah, he also is planning to destroy this part of the kingdom. He's going to blast a crater into the town center. So he's about to kill a bunch of people too. On top of all that, um, so he's kind of lured like the rebel army and the royal guard to the town center here, so he can kind of take out everybody all at once. So, as if he wasn't bad enough to begin
Yeah.
with, like he's just taken to the next level now.
Just keep piling on the evil. This guy, he does not care. And then we jump back into the fight, back into the sword fight, the swords fight. Yeah, I'm loving this. Like, I'm a big Zoro fan, and Zoro is so badass through this whole fight. Like, I love how he can't land a blow on Mr. One because he's made of steel. He's made of sword. And instead of being scared of that, he gets excited by the fact that he's like, okay, so if I beat you, then I'll be able to cut through steel. And I'm excited by that. Like that, I feel like that like motivated him and got him amped up instead of scared by the fact that he can't cut through his opponent.
Yeah.
Like he has no attack, like he has no offense.
Yeah, Zoro's basically saying,
so I thought that was like a very cool perspective, like it was a cool perspective and very like confident mentality for Zoro.
Yeah, and Zoro's basically saying, once I defeat you, I'll have enough experience points to level up and get a new ability. So I know if I defeat you, then I'll be the next level.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Just like that amount of confidence and lack of fear. Like he's got no fear. I love it.
Like he's saying he feels bad for Mr. One for the position that he's in.
Yeah.
When Zoro's
And he's like, I feel bad for you because you're not going to be able to see me get to that level because I have to go through you. So like, you're not going to be able to see me cut through steel.
Yeah, you're just the enemy I have to fight along the way. You're just my stepping stone.
Yeah. Badass. Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah, so on that note, do you want to get us into the next summary?
Yep. All right. Chapter 194, Cutting Steel. Zoro and Mr. One clash steel. The fight is on a knife's edge as Zoro's attacks are proving useless, but he's able to block Mr. One's attacks. Mr. One uses a powerful attack, Daisy Blades, which splits the building behind Zoro into pieces. As he's caught in the rubble, Zoro remembers a lesson his sensei taught him. A true sword has the power to cut, but also to not cut. Zoro still seems to be figuring that one out, but is determined to cut through steel. Zoro rises from the rubble and picks up a massive chunk of the building and hurls it at Mr. One. A short summary, but this is mostly a fight chapter. It's pretty much all fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean,
But
lots of cool
any
stuff.
Zoro fight, like I am so there. I love Zoro fights. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of amazing panels in this. This fight scene is just super fun. And I think it's cool seeing Mr. One's ability. He kind of like takes the form of a sword at times, which is kind of cool. But then like all of his limbs are pretty much just blades.
Yeah, except right at the beginning, we see like he turns his leg into a blade as well. So he goes to try and kick Zoro, and then Zoro blocks it, but he has like that grin on his face.
Yeah.
And like Zoro, he talks so big, like he's like, I have no idea how many swordsmen you fought over the years, but you've never met someone like me before.
Yeah.
And then there's like this cool panel too, where it's like right after that, like Mr. One does this kind of like spin move over here, and then he like goes into like a razor claw, so he turns his fingers into claws. So just some cool like fight moves here.
Yeah, some very cool moves. And we see the three sword style from Zoro, and he lands what would probably be a fatal blow to anyone else who is not made of steel. But Mr. One absorbs it.
Yeah. Yeah, even the onigiri would just kind of his go-to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I think, and again, like this is such a fun fight scene in the same sense that Bon Clay and Sanji was such a great fight scene because they're just like so perfectly matched for each other. You know, it was like meant to
Yeah.
be. Um, I think that it just makes for some like really fun fight scenes. You know, sword versus sword, foot versus foot. Um,
Yeah, and
it's just cool. It's a
yeah,
cool matchup.
we're seeing Zoro here. He's not in a position where he's at a disadvantage. Like we've seen a lot of his past fights.
Right.
He's usually down a sword or like swords were broken. Now he has to like grab some other random sword.
Yep.
So like we've seen like Zoro, or he's been like severely injured, and like he's like on the verge of death. Like we've seen like a lot of disadvantages with Zoro. So now we're actually seeing Zoro kind of like take on an enemy where like he has a chance to fight all out at full strength, but Zoro just lacks the ability to win the fight in this moment. But we're seeing Zoro try to figure out how he can go about that and try to get the upper hand. Zoro's still not concerned, even though he doesn't really have a way to defeat his opponent. But
Right.
yeah, but we see Zoro is actually at full strength at this point, which is pretty
Yeah,
rare.
I love how he's like not letting that fact discourage him. It's just getting him like more amped up on the fact that in order for him to defeat this person, he's gonna have to do these. Like he's gonna have to cut through steel. He's gonna
Yeah,
have to do these things. And I think that's such a I don't know, such a like a warrior's mindset on like
Hmm.
how to get through a battle like this because I feel like most people would be discouraged or lose hope where he's kind of like amped up and is excited by the fact that he's going to have to learn a new skill in order to get through this fight
Yeah, Zoro's not
or
like let
do
me run
something he's never
away.
done before.
Yeah, Zoro's
Yeah.
not like let me run away and try to figure out how to do this and do it at a different time. Zoro's like, no, I'm winning right
Hmm.
now. He's determined to do it right now.
Yep. And we see Mr. One's incredible power. Like we already saw it earlier when he split the column, but now he splits an entire building into like 5 massive chunks
Yeah.
with an attack, and then Zoro's covered in the rubble, goes into this flashback sequence, which I thought was really cool, seeing him and his sensei talking about sword fighting, and then in the next panel, he's literally lifting like I don't know a couple tons worth of building. Like I feel like I've said this in the past. Like there's no way Zoro is a mortal man. Like
Yeah.
he's got power. He has strength way beyond like a standard human. I mean, this building is like it's an entire fucking building, pretty much. Like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Like, he's but a human, a mortal human, and he's lifting probably like 3 tons worth of building that he then throws at Mr. One. So, like, I don't know.
Hey, in his
I don't know.
defense, he does some serious weightlifting. We saw the
Yeah,
last volume where
I
he
don't
was
care how many pull-ups you do. You can't lift an entire building.
he's doing like
He's holding over 3 stories of building.
he was doing the curls with eyelashes on top of the weights last volume.
Yeah,
We see him like lifting like the giant like weights in the past as well. Um, yeah, so he's doing his
I don't
eyelash
know,
on his
man.
sword. I think he was doing the curls. Nah, I mean this is beyond like the feat of like a normal human, but like Zoro said, he never met anybody like him before.
Yeah. I
And
don't
then
know.
Mr.
There's more.
One,
I don't know. Like, obviously, I don't want any spoilers, but I feel like there's got to be more to Zoro than just like a super strong mortal human. I don't know. It's just like he has these incredible feats of strength that I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way. He's too strong. He's too strong.
yeah, I
I
think
mean, I
he
love it
just
because I
he
love
puts in the
Zoro, but
work.
like, yeah, right. He does the One Punch Man exercise. He does 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups,
Yeah.
100 squats every day. That's it. Oh, and he runs a 10K.
Yeah. But I do love this concept here. That Zero's kind of thinking back on this concept of being able to not cut something which is kind of counterintuitive with using the sword, or in this fight where he's trying to cut something that's like super hard. But there's also
Mhm.
like this like concept of having this mastery of the sword to the point where you can actually choose not to cut something, even though like you're directly cutting it. So that in itself is a skill that is hard to master. So it sounds kind of like, oh, why would I not want to cut something? But again, that's like a technique that is like kind of next level.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Leads so well into what is to come. But yeah, I thought that flashback sequence was really great. Short and sweet, got the point across, and Zoro's riled up,
But
but
yeah,
also still trying to figure it out. Like it's cool watching him slowly figure this out.
yeah, like during the flashback though, it's like his master tells him to watch the sheet of paper very carefully, Zoro, and like it's just dropping it, and he goes whap, and Zoro's like, it's still one piece, like, but he's just demonstrating that there's more to the sword than just like cutting everything in sight.
Yep. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on this one?
I think I'm good to move on.
Okay. So before we get into the last chapter of the volume, we have the next part of the cover story, Hachi's Walk on the Seafloor, Volume 12, Kami the Mermaid and Starfish Papagu. A mermaid and a starfish have been freed from the seaboard's mouth. So that's what was in the mouth.
I should have known. Interesting.
Yeah, so this is the first time that we're seeing a mermaid.
Oh yeah,
Just pointing that out.
cool. Lots of sea creatures, but not a mermaid.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Do you think the mermaid's gonna fall in love with Hachi?
Only one way to find out.
Hachi's on a roll, man. I want to doubt it.
Sorry, what would you say?
No, we're just saying Hachi's on a roll. I think that this might be a romantic, or maybe he dates a starfish. I don't know.
We don't know. But that's a story for another time. Because now we have chapter 195, Mr. Bushido. Zoro throws a building at Mr. One as he tries to figure out what his master's teachings meant. Mr. One easily dices up the building into small pieces. Zoro continues to slash at Mr. One, who is able to deflect all of Zoro's blows. Mr. One makes it clear that he's not a swordsman as he turns his arms into blades and spins them like a buzzsaw. Zoro stops the attack with the swords, which causes sparks. Mr. One knocks Zoro's swords out of the way and saws into Zoro's torso before sending him flying. He sees Zoro is still alive, so he attacks him again and causes the pillar behind him to crumble. To Mr. One's surprise, Zoro is standing as all of the pieces of debris manage to miss him. Zoro has an epiphany as he realizes he could sense where the rocks would fall where his sword landed. He can sense the breathing of his surroundings. He realizes that this must be the technique he would need to use in order to not cut something with his sword, as well as be able to cut steel if he chooses. Mr. One goes to land the finishing blow on Zoro, but Zoro can sense the breathing of the steel and manages to slash Mr. One's steel body.
Yo.
That's pretty metal.
Like you were saying, this is what it needs for the next level. Like Zoro is on some next level shit in this chapter. Like that was so cool. Like you said, like the epiphany, like his aha moment when he all of a sudden is like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah.
What not to like? I can like being able to like know what to cut, what not to cut. He runs his sword through a tree branch, but doesn't cut it at all.
Yeah, just kind of testing out to see if he's got it figured out.
And then he intentionally cuts a boulder in half. Like, I don't know. That was so cool. And then that final shot, like the final page of this volume, super badass. Super badass.
Yeah. That was cool. Yeah, he ends by saying, "My thanks. and he thinks to himself, "Now I'm stronger." So he just saw, like I said, he just
Yeah.
saw Mr.
How
One as
cool.
like a stepping stone.
So cool. I mean, and he does take a beating this time. He really gets
He
ripped
gets
up pretty
messed
good.
up.
Like chainsaw to the gut multiple times.
Yeah, I can see his blood flying everywhere, and then like you can see like all the cuts like in his like his torso. Um, yeah, so he takes a serious beating here.
Serious beating, but we know he can take a serious beating. We've seen that many times.
You're like, how much
Maybe
can you
not
take?
this bad, but pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
oh, sorry, go
oh
ahead.
god.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna continue saying how much of a beating he took. Like he took a lot of unblocked shots, like, and then stood right up
Yeah,
and was able to land a finishing blow after that, which is pretty impressive with a single sword too.
yeah. So like,
Yeah,
we're just kind of talking about how Zoro's he started out the fight like at full strength, and he's taking a beating, but like it's he still is able to overcome this and like apply the new thing he just learned,
yeah,
and that's the thing that gives him the edge in this fight. Yeah, but like I just like imagine here like Zoro is just kind of like having like this kind of quiet moment to himself where he's just very like introspective, and like he's like he gets like he feels like he can like tell something is breathing like the way everything kind of gives, I guess, like kind of an aura, different aura, like the different types of
yeah,
materials I think kind of give like this aura that you can sense differently, and like that's how we would cut it differently is because he can sense it, so like, he knows where his sword is. um it's almost kind of like he's kind of getting like the force here, like
yeah.
like everything has kind of
He's
like a living sense around him.
absolutely.
And it just kind of
Yeah,
happens
how
to
cool.
dodge, not so much dodge, but like he manages to not get hit by the falling debris, just by knowing where to stand, where it'd be safe, where he wouldn't get hit.
Right. And exactly where his sword was. That was so cool.
Yeah, and then I also like how Mr. One um, says like he's not a swordsman. Um, it's like he wants to make it clear, like he himself is kind of like a sword, but he's not a swordsman, so he's not afraid to
Right.
use like other types of techniques. Whereas Zoro is dedicated as a swordsman, so
Right.
Um, so it's a
Mr.
little different,
Bushido.
and yeah, it's a little different in the in this kind of sense where Zoro will typically fight the swordsman, but this is like kind of a little different take on that.
Yeah. But such a cool matchup. And
Yeah,
like, yeah, Zoro's definitely walking out of this fight a new man. Like, he definitely leveled up,
yeah,
which is cool because we know this is going to have to happen because he's going to have to face stronger opponents. And like, I'm still like, waiting for him to fight Mihawk again, which I know probably won't happen for a very long time. But like, um, can't wait for that and can't wait to see like what he learns in because I know that that's on his mind too. Like that's what like he's looking. I feel like Mihawk kind of set like the bar for him.
yeah,
And like I think he realized he's got to grow as a swordsman and like is like trying to push himself on their new things. And like here we get to kind of see that in action. And like Nami had kind of a similar epiphany or like breakthrough in this volume, and like even Sanji had like a breakthrough moment fighting Bon Clay. Maybe less so than the other two, but like they all kind of had like a cool moment in this volume where they all defeat their matchups.
yeah,
So I thought that was a very like fulfilling volume on a whole, like seeing all of our heroes succeed. So
yeah. Very satisfying fights. Um,
yes,
yeah, so they're taking on more formidable foes than they faced in the past. So even within Baroque works, like they were handling a lot of the upper agents pretty easily, like Mr. Five and Miss Valentine's Day.
yeah,
Like they kind of like just kind of beat them off screen. So Broke Works don't really seem to be too formidable, but now like with a lot of the officer agents, we're seeing that they are kind of at a different level than what we've seen before. So they
Totally.
are legitimate like threats, and
Oh
Straw
yeah.
Hats are kind of stepping up to match them. They're not easy fights, and they're definitely being tested, but they're proving that that they're stronger than who they're facing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I feel like I'd commented on that in previous volumes, being like, "Man,
Yeah,
this fight doesn't seem like worthy." But yeah, I think it was just like all building up to this moment, this war, and these like boss battles, kind of all happening now. So
yeah, and they are on the
it's
Grand
an
Line
exciting
now.
time, huh?
They are on the Grand Line now.
Yeah,
And like we just talked about how Zoro kind of had like these disadvantages, so to kind of like level the playing field, like Zoro has been a little bit stronger than some of the other opponents, but he's been like you know um, put in a position where he didn't have the upper hand, so he's kind of fighting with like one hand tied behind his back kind of deal.
yeah,
Luffy a lot of times kind of gets in these situations where like he's like stuck and he can't really fight with full force. But like in these cases here, the strats are able to kind of go like all out, and like we've seen Luffy was defeated. Like he couldn't even like lay like a single blow on Crocodile. It wasn't even like a
yep,
match. It's basically just Luffy punching sand for 3 minutes and then like getting pierced and like left for dead.
yeah, absolutely. That was not a satisfying fight. Where we've had like now we've had 3 satisfying fights with our 4 because you also had Chopper and Usopp kicking some butt
Yeah.
last volume. But yeah, it's kind of cool seeing the crew on a whole kind of making some having some realization moments and growing stronger and having some serious street cred now.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see how the rest of Baroque Works gets handled here because now we're getting close to the end. We have 2 more volumes to go through
Yeah,
for the arc. But now most of the agents have been defeated. So we'll have to see what happens with Mr. One and Zoro here and the next volume. And we'll see how the rest of Alabasta goes.
I can't wait. I'm super excited. I've been really loving this arc.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, 2 more volumes, right? In this, in Brokeworks.
Yeah. Yeah, then we'll get to wrap that up.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, but
When we thought Crocodile couldn't get any more evil, turns out he's like way more evil.
Yeah, he also ups his game too. He goes to the
Yeah,
next level of
totally.
villain.
All Sunday too. I think she's way more powerful than we've seen. Just like from her power and like her demeanor, like
Yeah.
she just seems really, really strong.
Yeah, and again with Miss All Sunday, we don't know too much about her. It's like what's her deal?
Yeah,
Like there's more to her. Like why did she
she
help
seems to be
Luffy?
playing both sides.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
she doesn't really seem to be fully committed to Crocodile in a way, because she went and helped Luffy, but we don't know why she did that.
right. Yeah,
So I guess
and
we'll
we've also
see
seen
how that
her and
plays out.
Crocodile kind of like butt heads a little bit.
Yeah, like nothing like
Sorry, what was that?
too no nothing like too drastic, but like yeah, they don't always seem to be exact on the same page. But Miss All Sunday is
Yeah.
just kind of going along with things. All right, but that's going to conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We Are Reading One Piece podcast.buzzsprout.com or on our YouTube channel at We Are Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we have recorded the podcast, so if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Pirate King Codex for various One Piece content. I haven't really had too much coming out lately. Been a little busy, especially with the trip to Japan. Hopefully, I'll have a little bit more coming up soon. I want to do like a little bit of coverage on my trip there. So stay tuned. But that will be all for this episode. Next episode, we'll be discussing Volume 23, Hope. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by my co-host, Evan.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for coming aboard. Be sure to bring along all of your hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.